to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I'd like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Facebook, Instagram, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. And make sure to hit that like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and share this link. Help me to get it out there, that way new people can find me. Tonight, I am taking another walk here, Cincinnati, Ohio. If I go kind of like in and out here, hey Amy, it's really nice to see you. If I go in and out here, it's because I'm probably walking off of one of the main streets, and it does kind of like get a little dark. I'm walking under a tree right now. So kind of like ignore the traffic, ignore the darkness, and just listen to the message. Listen to the message. That's the important thing. I haven't been doing a whole lot of lives lately, and hopefully some people will start to file in here. This is kind of an impromptu. I'm sure they will. I've had a lot of interesting things going on. I hope you guys have a lot of cool plans for the 4th of July. This is a big time. I love the energy of a holiday too, I love the energy of a holiday. We know that these type of, especially holidays, a lot of people want to, especially those that are dogmatic into religion and all that, want to like associate it with, the pagan holidays and pagan rituals and all that. But what they truly don't understand is it's akin to astrological alignments, right? And the reason we have these holidays and celebrate at these times of year is because they reflect some part of our reality and reflect some part of the stars and a particular energy that is in the air and in the ether at this time, And we know that the ether, we know that the stars, we know that the firmament is nothing but a reflection of us, our consciousness, and everything that we see, hear, feel, and experience is a projection of that, right? It's a projection internally. So, and this is why I wanted to title this one, The Mirror Called Reality, right? Because that's, in essence, that's what we live in. And you have so many people that want to break it down and call it the fucking law of attraction and all these different cool terms. And whether you're a medium and you're using divination or all these different tools that we have to be able to divine the energy and look at things in the way that they manifest in our lives, it ultimately boils down to we live in a giant fucking mirror. We live in a giant fucking mirror. Hey, Seeking Truth, nice to see you. And I did get some requests recently too. I had people saying, John, when are you going to do some more books? When are you going to do some more? So I am going to start doing that stuff again. So, and like I said, just before you guys join me, the people that are filing in now, it is a little dark. You might hear a little traffic, but hopefully it's not too disturbing. Hopefully the message is what you guys hear the most. We're in Cincinnati, Ohio here. I do love Cincinnati. It's an amazing place to live. It's got its own soul. Every city has its own soul, don't it? Like, and I've got the privilege to be able to travel all across the United States, and this has been one of my favorite places that I've ever got to live too. New Orleans was also a really cool place as well. But the South has a whole different type of fucking vibe, a whole different type of fucking energy, for real. But back to the topic. The mirror we call reality. How many of you out there, and you can be honest, you can put it in the chat if you'd like. Make sure you hit that thumbs up if you're in the chat. Make sure you comment in the chat. I am watching the chat, so I'll be able to see it, and I will reply. Share the link, subscribe, click all on the notifications, donate, support to the channel, all that good stuff. But how many of you out there, have had the privilege in this experience we call life to be able to witness the fact that our thoughts in fact do create our reality and do in fact create our experience? How many of you had seen evidence, for that, and watched the very things that you have prophesied and spoken over yourself manifest into actual existence? I have. I know back in the days when I used to do conspiracies and, the shit was heavy. You guys will remember, like, I'd have to take breaks from the shit. I have to unplug, motherfucker. Like, I'd have to unplug because it got so dark, It would get so dark and so heavy. And it's not to say that there's nothing to that and that we don't need to, flip those rocks and find the snakes, find the serpents, and really look at that side of ourselves and look at that side of the reality. We do. That's a part of the process, and a part of the awakening experience. But at the same time, when I had this mindset, you guys could probably hear the fireworks firing off. When I had that mindset, though, the conspiracy mindset of everybody being against me, of everything being controlled, of everything being owned and ran, and I was this powerless cog in the wheel, in the machine. All right, that became my experience. Claudette Malespina, nice to see you. Thank you so much. Let me see what else we have in here. Paula Hawk, nice to see you. Thinking about moving to Ohio, seeking truth. Come on down. Come on down. Cincinnati is an amazing place to live, like for real. It really is. But when I was deep into that, into the darker stuff, and people call it fear porn and fear mongering and doom and gloom and all that. And, those are really just people that live in fear anyways. They're too scared to even look at their own fucking problems, let alone the world problems, right? But it does come to a point where we cross a certain line too, as well. Where we ingrain ourselves into that lifestyle so fucking much. We get so deep into that dark mindset. We get so deep into that, into that place to where everyone and everything is opposed. Is opposed to us, and and everything is against us and engineered and for us to fail. That we begin to accept that as reality. We begin to accept that as our life. And then when you have this mindset of, and I'm not knocking anyone or anything, I've been there. We all have been there. We've all went through this. It's a part of the process, right? Most of you guys that have really, stuck with me over the years, and I love that they're just popping fireworks off already here in the city. Most of you guys that have, and that's confirmation right there, that we're talking about. So most of you guys have had, you've been with me for a long time. You went through this same process that I've been through, this awakening process, this spiritual awakening, this spiritual journey, this spiritual growth, And you understand that there are phases to this shit. There's levels to this shit, bruh. Right? The first one being that self-recognition, and kind of seeing ourselves, seeing the world for what it truly is. And when we cross that threshold, everything in our life begins to fall apart, But as we progress down that and we have that self-awareness and we have the ability to kind of see everything for what it is, we are biased. In our opinion, we think that we've stumbled upon the truth. We think that we've stumbled upon awareness. But what we have actually stumbled upon is the ability to see things, but we don't see it clearly because we're still seeing it through the beer goggles of the Matrix, right? And I do mean beer goggles. Because we're still seeing it from this powerless point of view. We're still seeing it from this perspective of, everything is everything is under a systemic oppression that we cannot, we cannot break free of. It's the failure to see that it's pattern recognition, and that's why human beings are creatures of habit. We're creatures of pattern. It's the patterns that we create within our life that makes the outcome of our projection. It's what pattern are you operating on today? Is your pattern one where, the Illuminati rules the fucking world? where you're a powerless shithead in the machine, and you're you're stuck in an alien matrix and they're feeding off of your loosh. You know, does people understand how sick of a fucking pattern that is? How weak of a pattern that is? How powerless of a pattern that is? Not judging you, not knocking you, I'm just keeping it real. I've been there. I felt that way. I felt that powerless. You know? I've had that belief. So I can say that. Or are you stuck in like the religious paradigm to where you're born as a sinful fucking scumbag? And you need, you know, another deity, another entity to be the mediator between you and God, because you're not even good enough to speak to God, which you actually are, and which you actually are a part of, and which you actually come from. You are a son of the Most High, you know. I've been in that part of it too, and I know you have as well, you know. Where we believe that we don't even have the ability to step to God, or that God is somewhere external to us, you know, that we're so filthy that, you know, we're born that way. We're born filthy, you know. And think about the lives that we lead and the expressions that we have, and think about like why the world suffers so fucking much. Think about why people are in such poverty, why people are in such lack. It's our fucking mindset. You know, it's our fucking mindset. You ever seen a rich person? A rich person, you know, they spend it like it's going out of style. You know, they do everything like it's infinite and they're abundant because they are, and it is. You know? People that truly, you know, are in power and control, they operate as if they own the world and everything in it, because they do. You know? At the end of the day, it's up to each and every one of us, you know, to decide like what we're going to reflect and what we're going to project into this creation. You know? I see, you know, and what's really sad too, sorry guys, sending a text message here. You know what's really fucking sad is how we see ourselves. You know, I wrote a post today online. You know, one of the people I've held the most against out of everybody in my life is myself. You know, and I feel like it's once we finally learn how to forgive ourselves and the things that we've held against ourselves, that's when we truly begin to heal. And I don't consider myself a guru or fucking to think I've got it all figured out by any means. I'm just telling you what I think I know. And I do mean what I think I know. Because nobody knows for sure. Thanks, bro. You know, when you know, it's like we have to forgive ourselves for the poor choices that we've made. We have to forgive ourselves for being deceived, allowing people to deceive us, for not seeing ourselves as the beautiful, amazing individuals that we are, the children of the Most High that we are. We have to forgive ourselves for abandoning ourselves when others have abandoned us. We have to forgive ourselves for rejecting ourselves when others have rejected us. We have to forgive ourselves for not loving ourselves when others did not love us. And if you start to see a theme here, you start to see something, you know, click. It's the fact that you didn't love you that allowed people not to love you. It's the fact that you abandoned you that allowed others to abandon you. It's the fact that you didn't forgive you that allowed other people not to forgive you, right? It's like when we decide to stop fucking, living at this standard that we've created for ourselves, and when we decide to start holding ourselves up in a higher regard, the world has no other choice but to hold us in that highest regard. And we can't do it out of arrogance and ego. I've tried to do that too, And a lot of spiritualists actually have. Most of us, we think that we found spiritual awakening, we think that we found self-love, and all we've actually found is arrogance. Spiritualizing the ego. Like, oh, you will respect me, you will treat me a certain way, and we push that narrative onto people. But at the same time, the reason we're demanding and commanding these type of things is because we don't actually respect and love ourselves to start with. So we feel like we need to enforce it or to control it or impress it upon others. We feel like simply by being ourselves and allowing things, we can't get the experience we truly desire. And it's a lie. It's a lie. The more we allow, the more we actually have control, which is the craziest fucking thing. It doesn't make sense. It's almost counterintuitive to the way that we're raised. The way that we're taught. We're taught, if we want to get something done, then it takes like hard work. It takes action, Nice to see you, Jeffrey. Nice to see you. Let me stop for a second. Shit. Okay. Alright, you gonna talk shit? I'm gonna block you. So, don't come in here and being disrespectful. There you go. So, yeah, I don't do the disrespect. So I'm glad you got your moment of being funny. So now talk to yourself. But it's like it's actually how we see ourselves that dictates our reality. Dictates our experience. It's actually the fact that when we stop trying to control the projection, that we actually get in control of the projection. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to people. But the real truth of the matter is when we finally are in the flow, and it's like, think about it. The more that you're fighting against the wave of life, imagine yourself at the depths of the ocean, water pounding on you. Boom, wave after wave after wave. You're drowning, right? If you were a vessel, if you were a boat, what would be the success or the metric of success in that scenario or situation? Would it be to try to crash against the waves and try to keep them from flowing over you? Or would it be to go under those waves? Go under that current and allow it to kind of flow over top of you. Without resistance. But having the ability to kind of go up and down with that tide, up and down with that flow. And I mean, I know it fucking sounds, because we're taught that way. We're taught that, force equals success. We're taught that force equals ambition. We're taught that, we're taught that action creates this. But that's why, when you look at the Tao Te Ching and all of that, it's the art of doing, not doing. The art of doing, not doing. Go fucking figure. Who needs to be taught how to do, not doing? All of us, apparently. We're constantly either stuck in our past, examining all of our fuck-ups, our mistakes, our regrets, or we're constantly in the fucking future that don't even exist yet, that isn't even real. These false illusions that we create out of fear, these hypothetical scenarios that we're constantly trying to prevent through our actions or inaction. you know? But we're never actually present, just experiencing now. We're never actually just allowing the current to flow over us. Going with the flow, literally. It's not just a saying. I mean, showing up and being love, I think that's a little, it's a little cliche. I don't like the new age airy fairy shit because it doesn't cut it enough for me. You know, I need something that applies to like real life. You know, we can't always be love, and we don't have to, guys. You know, we don't have to. You know, we don't have to always be love. We're allowed to be angry, believe it or not. We're allowed to be upset, believe it or not. We're allowed to experience real and authentic feelings and be a real and fucking authentic person. We don't have to put on a show or a facade for, you know, for others in our life to convince them that we're spiritual or aware. Go fuck them, you know. Fuck you. We are who we are. Spirituality, like the thing about it is like, it has nothing to do with, you know, fake ass, punk ass pastors and preachers do that fuck shit. You know, pretending to be holy moly and, you know, touched by God. We're all touched by God. We don't have to pretend shit. We're born that way. You know, we don't have to be, you know, disingenuous and fake and wear a mask and act like we're something we're not. You know, bun-headed, floating on a fucking rug, motherfuckers. Like, we don't have to do that shit. We can still be normal human beings, and we display our awareness by the fact that we're able to deal and cope with goddamn life. Who cares what others think? Who cares who sees what? Who cares what knows what? You know? When you're doing this shit to like, I want everybody to think I'm loving or I'm holy or I'm peaceful. You're doing it for the wrong fucking reasons. You're doing it for everybody else. You're doing it for a show. You're doing it for a display. You know? Too many, far too many of the spiritual community are doing it that way too, sadly. We are allowed to cuss. We are allowed to get angry. We are allowed to break our fucking foot off in someone's ass if we want. You know why? Because we have love for ourselves. We have love for our family. We have love for those around us. You know? It's like too often too we have confused, you know, and like so many people talk about this whole self-love shit. You know, the airy fairy spiritual shit as well. It's like, oh, it's all about self-love and da-da-da-da. You know, when what it truly is covert narcissism, spiritualizing the ego, and it's an excuse for us to ignore everyone else and ignore, you know, other people's needs, other people's problems, and make everything about us, which is what we did before we had any awareness in the first place. You know, it's what we did before we had any awareness. We're doing the same thing, and now we're dressing it up as spirituality, which is manipulative as fuck. Hate to tell you. You know, like, oh, I'm tired of being a giving, loving, kind human being, so I'm gonna say I'm loving myself, you know, by not being there for anyone else. You know, self-love is about doing what's right for you in the long term. It has nothing to do with like being a selfish shit. You know, it has nothing to do with serving your own desires constantly. This is what we get twisted. This is what we get confused. This is why we shouldn't be listening to fucking idiots on the internet. You know? This is why we should be picking up the ancient wisdom, the ancient text, and reading those motherfuckers and seeing what it has to offer, because they were at the end of the cycles. Do you guys know that? That they wrote those books not for religions, but because they were in an age of knowledge and gnosis and wisdom, because they were at an end of a cycle like we are now. They were fully aware and awakened, and all the energies and conscious and psychic energies and dimensions were available to them. So they wrote it down. They put symbols on rocks. They put it all for us. That way when we got to that point, which we're coming into now, we could remember and be able to understand what they already learned and deciphered. That way we didn't have to be dumb, numbnut motherfuckers and literally relearn it and experience it but the hard way ourselves. You know, but instead we are so arrogant and egotistical. We say, fuck that book, fuck the Bible, fuck, you know, blah, 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 you know. That has nothing to offer me. I'm going to go off my intuition. You wouldn't know your intuition from your, you know, from your ass or in a hole in the ground. You know? You're going off of your programming. Nothing else. Nothing else. When you start to read that real knowledge, you know, what it does is the light that was in those texts, in those books, begins to activate the light that is in you. The awareness that is in you. You have that remembrance because you were here then. You were here then. You were there. During those cycles, you were there. This ain't your first lifetime, bro. Sis. We put it as a trail, a breadcrumb, you know, some Hansel and Gretel shit for ourselves. You know, we put it as a trail for ourselves. That's what symbolism is about. That's why we have pyramids. That's why we have, it's all built on energetic ley lines. It was us leaving us clues for when we got to the end of a cycle and we're able to understand it all again. It wasn't a fucking alien race. We'll be back. Yeah, we will. It was us too. We're that race. We're the Anunnaki. We're the gods. Sorry about that. We're the gods. You know? We're the ones who put that knowledge there for us. We're the ones who left the breadcrumb for us. They ain't gonna teach you that in church, bro. They ain't gonna teach you that on your conspiracy channels, bro. Nobody's gonna teach you that. You know why? It's not an exciting bullshit narrative. It doesn't externalize everything for you. It doesn't, you know, it's not an alien coming in a spaceship from the Pleiades to come save humanity. It's not Jesus floating down on a fucking, you know, stairway to heaven with Led Zeppelin playing as he does it. Not riders on horses and all the other fairy tale fucking nonsense that you've been told. It's just you. It's you in different cycles, in different states of consciousness, under different elements. Why? Because that was the motherfucking astrological influence at the time. And why does astrology matter? Because we are the goddamn stars. You know what a star is? A star is a prince, a planet, which a base word for planet, plane, ET, get it? Plane, an extraterrestrial plane, extraterrestrial outside of Terra, a plane outside of the Earth. Each of them holding an energetic sphere of energy, of frequency, that's embodied within you, within the chakra systems that are a part of the universal organism. You, it's the micro, the macro. You reflect outside here, in here. You have it all in here. Everything in the universe is down in the tiniest cell in your fucking body. Woo! Everything in the universe is down to the tiniest cell inside your body. You are the planets. You are the stars. What are the stars? They're the luminaries. Luminary, keyword. They're illuminating light frequency, emitting light frequency, right? And it's going through the prism that we call the firmament, which is the electromagnetic field, right? The collective third eye, creating that star in a jar effect down here on Earth, which is a holographic projection, light being separated into a rainbow, right? The 7 colors of the rainbow, the 7 chakras, onto the physical plane that we call Earth. So it's fragmented light from the celestial spheres above. Guess what? The spheres are the stars, the angels, the planets. You are a fallen angel. Your reality is a mirror. You decide, you choose. You choose what reality is based on your thoughts. Thought me. The universe is all is mind. Right? That divine spark creates that thought. It becomes an emotion, an energy, and motion. Right? We're emitting that energy, giving it off into our auric field, which is either attracting or repelling that energy to us. What? We repel the things and experiences we do not want. We attract the things that we need and do desire, creating what's in alignment for us from each of these spheres. And we're going to get into the different, imaginary plane and all this, where the spheres interlock, the different, dimensions or projections for attraction. On the next one, it's deep shit. And we aren't observers of this reality. We're actively imposing upon the reality. And everything that we do observe is just a reflection of that imposing, of that creation, of that co-creation. We are co-creators. Why do we have things fucked up in our life? Because if we didn't have things that were out of alignment, we would have no reason to strive and work hard to create things and make them be in alignment. It's that simple. There would be no reason to learn. There would be no reason to live, no reason to grow. I want everybody in the chat to hit the thumbs up for me. We are completely viewer powered. If you enjoy my work, you enjoy my channel, you want to show some love, donate, paypal.me, the Best Damn Podcast, Cash App, Best Damn Podcast, facebook.com, John Keane, Best Damn Podcast, or patreon.com, Best Damn Podcast Official. Follow me, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, YouTube, Best Damn Podcast Official and Best Damn Podcast, TikTok, The Best Damn Podcast. If you'd like to book a personal tarot reading, text 513-393-2396 or email therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com. They start at $50. But if you've gotten multiple readings, I do give deals for $35 for my returning people. The readings don't do well on YouTube because YouTube is a shit show. I only do videos here occasionally because I just love the people that watch on here. You know, even though there's rarely any of them left. But on Facebook, they do extremely well. So, extremely well. I do great over there on both my channels. I am going to start doing more deep dives into the books and the esoteric and all of that. I really have started to get away from a lot of the, the Satanism and the Luciferianism, just because I just don't want that energy in my life, anymore. It's not, I don't fear it or anything like that. And just at this phase and at this point, I'm trying to embody positivity, I do want to say thank you to Seeking Truth, Amy VR, Donna Marie Farrell, Snoopy D, D Rose, Graceful Heart, Jeffrey McLean, I am Isu, Stan the Man. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate all of you so much. For real, for real. I'm going to talk for another minute or two before we wrap it up. I want to ask that you share this link, your social medias and all that good shit. You hit that thumbs up, you comment after the video's over and all that good shit. It does help with the algorithms. And you subscribe and click all on the notification bells. They have unsubscribed so many people. You know, Beast One in the house. I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. I live over on the west side, Cincinnati, in the city. I love it here. I love it here. You know, but I'm to the point now, guys, and like, no shit. No shit. And I'm not saying I've mastered anything, but you think about Narcissist and, you know, the Tales of the Greeks, how he looked at his own reflection. Do you know that that is about you? You know, you're a narcissist. You look at your own reflection. It's called reality, bruh. It's called reality. Reality. You know? We can't escape our own reflection. Everything that we see is a reflection of self. Everything that we see is a projection of self. It's inescapable. Reality is the black mirror, not your goddamn cell phone. That just becomes like a psychomantium, you know, cell phones and devices and gadgets. That's just multiple mirrors. That's called refracting light into multiple positions, right? And that's why it's a tube, right? A tube channel on the black mirror we call, you know, cell phones, right? We're channeling that energy through you, projecting it through you onto devices, like, right, Wi-Fi in the Ethernet. You know, and we've been talking about this shit for years on this channel, years on this community. Melopedia Britannica in the house. Now I can tell you this, at the end of the day, though, we decide. We decide. We decide our happiness. We decide our fate. We decide our destiny. We decide our love lives and what it looks like. We decide our entire paradigm. You know, if we think it, it is. If we feel it, it will come to us. If we speak it and express it, we're putting power and dominion over it. You know, take the time to love you. Take the time and be intentional over the things you're speaking. Be intentional over the things that you're thinking. Be intentional over what you allow yourself to feel. And if you have people in your life that make you feel something that is ugly and make you doubt yourself, your value, and make you feel out of alignment, get rid of those motherfuckers. You know, let them go experience something else and learn the lesson of losing you. You know, let them suffer without your energy, because you will not suffer without theirs. You're suffering with it. You know, stop beating yourself up in your head with your thoughts too. You are good enough. You are more than enough. Who gives a fuck if people accept you? You know why they don't accept you? Because you don't accept you. You're too worried about if people accept you or not. The only reason we have lack and poverty is because we believe we are poor. We believe we don't have enough. We believe we're not enough. Try believing in you. Try believing in your gifts. Try believing in love. Try believing in divine providence. Try believing in a destiny that, you know, it comes from the divine inheritance as being a child of the Most High. And we're all children of the Most High, because we're all a fractal or a fragment of the divine expression. We are all consciousness. We are always constantly, continuously imprinting upon our reality.